Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today's story begins on an early morning in the remote outskirts near the town of Ballarat, Victoria, Australia. The tranquil atmosphere of the area was suddenly shattered by a horrifying scene. Amid the dense underbrush, a pickup truck lay completely burned out, reduced to a bare frame. Inside the ashes was the body of a young woman, a discovery that sent shockwaves through the community and raised a host of mysterious questions. Was this a tragic accident or a staged crime scene? What could have driven a young woman to meet such a tragic end? In today's video, we'll follow each clue to uncover the chilling story behind this horrific act. If you feel this story deserves more attention, help us out by leaving a like and sharing the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of the next gripping cases. In the early hours of the 5th of April, 2024, a man walking his dog through the sparse Scarsdale forest came across a horrifying scene. A Mitsubishi Triton pickup had burned to a crisp deep within the thicket, and inside lay the charred body of a young woman. When authorities arrived at the scene, they quickly identified the truck as belonging to Hannah McGuire, 23. Significantly, Hannah had been reported missing. However, her body inside the truck had been so badly burned that visual identification was impossible. The victim remained slumped in a curled-up position on the floor by the front seat, showing no sign of trying to escape. This suggested she may have been unconscious before the fire started. Local police immediately secured the scene and began collecting every remaining trace of evidence. To confirm her identity, investigators relied not only on the vehicle registration, but also dental records and DNA collected from Hannah's personal items at her home. Friends and family were also invited to assist in the identification process. The identification process was meticulous due to the severe condition of the remains. Ultimately, the identity was confirmed as Hannah McGuire. A few hours earlier, Hannah's family in the small town of Clunes had received a disturbing last message from her phone at 3:43 a.m. In the message, Hannah apologized to her mother, explaining that she had tried to stay strong but couldn't. Strangely, she also mentioned her ex-boyfriend, Lachlan Young, in unusual terms, saying that he didn't want to be involved with her anymore and asking her mother to watch over him, as the situation could cause him distress. After receiving the message, the family frantically tried to call back, but there was no response. Sensing that something was terribly wrong, Hannah's mother immediately alerted the police about her daughter's disappearance that very morning. Through their investigation, the police confirmed the victim was Hannah McGuire, 23, an Australian citizen living in the town of Clunes, Victoria. Hannah was the only daughter of Glenn and Debbie Mill, longtime owners of a local pub in town. Hannah was known as a young and kind-hearted woman. At 23, she was working as an elementary school teacher, having recently graduated from a teacher's college, and quickly returning home to serve her community. In the eyes of her colleagues, Hannah was a dedicated teacher who cared deeply for her students. Outside of work, she was sociable, friendly, and well-loved by her friends. She also played on a local women's netball team and regularly gathered with close friends for sports and social activities. Those around her described Hannah as gentle yet remarkably strong. In her personal life, Hannah had been in a long-term relationship with Lachlan Young. They had known each other since high school in Ballarat. Their youthful romance had been intense, and at one point, they even pooled their money to buy a house together in Sebastopol, south of Ballarat, planning for a shared future. However, according to Hannah's parents, Lachlan soon revealed troubling traits: alcoholism and a hot temper. Hannah had confided to her parents multiple times about being verbally abused, socially controlled, and even subjected to violent behavior during arguments. She had tried to endure the relationship for a long time, but eventually found the courage to end the toxic affair. Friends said that after the breakup, Hannah seemed reborn, more lively and confident. She had told her family she felt relieved and filled with renewed hope after escaping a controlling and abusive partner. Even after the breakup, Hannah remained fearful of Lachlan's aggression, seeking legal protection and relying on friends and colleagues for safety. Tensions escalated in early March 2024 when Hannah discovered that Lachlan had vandalized her car during a drunken episode after she expressed her intent to end the relationship. Determined to protect herself, Hannah decisively left the Sebastopol home and moved back in with her parents in Clunes, while initiating legal proceedings to separate assets and finances from Lachlan. On the night of the 4th of April, 2024, Hannah returned to the old Sebastopol house where she and Lachlan had lived together. She was likely there to collect personal belongings or discuss dividing shared property. Cautious, she had invited a friend to go with her to Ballarat that evening. Yet, after their outing, She drove alone back to Sebastopol to meet Lachlan the last time anyone saw her alive. From the very first assessment, the police were suspicious about the authenticity of the so-called last message. Its tone felt forced, particularly the unusual mention of her ex-boyfriend. Typically, someone intending to take their own life wouldn't fixate on a former partner in such a way. Furthermore, police discovered suspicious financial transactions in the early hours of the incident. Approximately 5,000 AUD had been transferred from Hannah's account to Lachlan's main account, along with 2,000 AUD sent to her parents. These transactions occurred right after the so-called last message was sent. While it could be seen as arranging final matters, transferring a large sum to an ex-boyfriend was highly illogical unless someone deliberately staged it to mislead the investigation. These signs led the police to consider that this was not a suicide but a staged murder. Immediately, Lachlan Young became the prime suspect. He was the last person to have contact with the victim, had a clear motive, and was unusually mentioned in the so-called last message. When the police contacted him, Lachlan appeared surprised but cooperative. He confirmed receiving troubling messages from Hannah's number early that morning and expressed concern for her safety. He also appeared puzzled when he saw 5,000 AUD transferred into his account, an action that seemed odd coming from Hannah. All of these reactions seemed staged. If this were indeed a setup, Lachlan was carefully playing the role of the heartbroken ex. However, objective evidence began to reveal the truth behind the facade. Investigators collected data from the mobile network and determined that the so-called last message was sent from Hannah's phone when it connected to a cell tower near Sebastopol, where Lachlan lived. This indicated that at the time, the victim's phone was in the suspect's possession. In parallel, the police reviewed security and traffic cameras along the route from Hannah's home in Clunes to Sebastopol. A detailed journey was reconstructed from the footage. On the evening of the 4th of April, Hannah drove from her family's pub in Clunes to the old Sebastopol house. A few hours later, in the early hours of the 5th of April, cameras at several intersections captured two vehicles, leaving Sebastopol in succession, heading toward the remote Scarsdale forest. The lead vehicle was Hannah's orange Mitsubishi Triton pickup. Following behind was another vehicle with an unknown license plate. This clue opened a new line of investigation. Using camera footage and vehicle registration data, police quickly identified the driver of the mysterious car as Benjamin O'Keefe, R23, a colleague of Lachlan Young. Just 3 days after the incident, both Lachlan Young and Benjamin O'Keefe were taken into custody for questioning. Confronted with irrefutable evidence, Lachlan admitted to police that he had been with Hannah Maguire the night of the incident and had caused her death, yet he claimed it was an unintended accident. According to Lachlan's statement, they had argued at the Sebastopol house. During the argument, Hannah allegedly slipped, hitting her head and losing consciousness. Panicked by her unresponsive state, Lachlan claimed he put her in the pickup, drove to a secluded area, and set the vehicle on fire to cover up the incident. He then sent a fake message posing as Hannah to stage the scene as a suicide. He consistently denied intentionally killing his ex-girlfriend, attempting to portray the act as manslaughter driven by a moment of panic. Meanwhile, Benjamin O'Keefe, CA, the colleague suspected of complicity, told a different story, revealing shocking details. Around 2:53 a.m., on the 5th of April, 2024, he received an urgent call from Lachlan, asking him to come over because something serious had happened. She had said he haven't tans and not of Bess, coming in the bathroom to have go in one. When Benjamin arrived, Lachlan hinted that during the argument, he had accidentally pushed Hannah, and she might have died. He pleaded for Benjamin's help in disposing of the scene. Initially, Benjamin refused, unwilling to get involved. However, after repeated requests, he reluctantly agreed to follow him that night. Benjamin stated that he had no way of knowing Hannah's condition and did not see her. Upon reaching the Scarsdale forest, Lachlan drove Hannah's Mitsubishi Triton into a tree, staging a fake accident scene, then used a handheld gas torch to ignite the front of the vehicle. Benjamin later voluntarily surrendered the torch. Forensics confirmed that Lachlan's fingerprints and DNA were on the torch, proving he was the one who directly ignited it. Benjamin insisted that while Lachlan carried out the act, he remained in his own car a few dozen meters away, not involved in the burning and unaware whether Hannah was inside the vehicle. After the fire consumed the vehicle, Lachlan returned to Benjamin's car, handing him 4,500 AUD in cash as gas money and asking for a ride away from the scene. Benjamin agreed, drove him close to home, and then they parted ways. Frightened by his involvement, Benjamin erased all security camera data from his home that morning. It wasn't until the police discovered Hannah's body in the burned vehicle that Benjamin realized he might have unwittingly aided a grave crime. He immediately confronted Lachlan to get the truth. At that point, Lachlan admitted that he had suffocated Hannah beforehand. This confession revealed the true danger of the case. The victim had been killed prior to the staged accident. Investigators also found many aspects of Benjamin's testimony corroborated by the evidence. The forensic report revealed that there was no soot in the victim's lungs, indicating that Hannah had either died or lost consciousness before the fire ignited. Additionally, several bruises around her neck and face suggested signs of being forcibly restrained, leading to asphyxiation. From this, police ruled out Benjamin O'Keefe as the main perpetrator, as he had no clear motive and stood to gain nothing. His actions of deleting cameras and confronting suspects appeared more like reactions of fear than the behavior of a mastermind. After interrogation and verification, Benjamin O'Keefe was released without charges and became a cooperating witness for the prosecution. At this point, all attention shifted to Lachlan Young, the victim's ex-boyfriend, who was directly connected to all critical evidence. To strengthen the case, police conducted a thorough search of the shared home in Sebastopol, believed to be the crime scene. They recovered several DNA samples and tiny traces of blood on the bathroom floor, confirmed to belong to Hannah. While the floor had been cleaned, microscopic blood stains remained, suggesting she bled from head or facial injuries during a struggle. Moreover, traffic cameras recorded on the night of the 5th of April, 2024, that after setting the car on fire, Lachlan and his father walked around the area near the house. This action likely served as a ruse, pretending to search for Hannah after her mother reported unusual messages. All these details painted a clear picture. Lachlan Young had plotted the murder of his ex-girlfriend with calculated intent, then tried to cover up his crime by staging the scene and falsifying evidence. Notably, when interviewed by police, Hannah's colleagues and friends testified about his violent and controlling behavior throughout their relationship. At Delacombe Elementary, where Hannah taught, colleagues recalled that just 2 weeks before the incident, on the 20th of March, 2024, the school went on alert and temporarily locked down after Hannah received threatening calls from Lachlan. The school secured all entrances, instructed Hannah to remain in the office instead of going to the playground with students, and warned other teachers to be cautious in case Lachlan showed up. Hannah's friends also noticed Lachlan's violent and controlling nature. He would intrude on all her social gatherings, denying her personal space. On one occasion, when Hannah traveled to Melbourne for a friend's birthday, Lachlan called to force her to return early, forbidding her from going out without him. He even mocked Hannah's appearance, calling her a fat pig after seeing a photo of her eating French fries. His profile became clear: a hot-tempered, controlling ex-boyfriend, full of resentment when rejected. These testimonies helped police understand his motive. Hannah bravely ended the toxic relationship, but Lachlan could not accept it. He feared losing control, and particularly the shared house they both owned. According to a close friend, after their breakup in early March, Hannah became noticeably happier and stronger. This revival likely fueled Lachlan's anger and desire for revenge. In fact, he had planned Hannah's harm in advance. According to a witness, on the 4th of April, 2024, just days before the crime, Lachlan told Benjamin O'Keefe about his plan to drug Hannah and stage a car accident to scare her into relinquishing the shared house. Piecing everything together, police concluded this was an intentional murder, planned out of romantic revenge and property dispute. After about a week of intensive investigation, with full evidence in hand, they swiftly and secretly arrested Lachlan Young before he could make any attempt to flee. During questioning, Lachlan insisted he had no intent, claiming it was just an accident during an argument. But all the crime scene evidence and witness testimonies painted a crystal-clear picture of guilt, completely refuting his denials. Lachlan Young, 21, was an Australian citizen, born and raised near Ballarat, Victoria. Before the crime, Lachlan had no serious criminal record, but in the eyes of the victim's family and friends, he was a young man with many concerning behaviors. Hannah Maguire's parents described Lachlan as an alcoholic, quick-tempered, and often cruel toward Hannah during their relationship. He had publicly yelled at and insulted her on multiple occasions, leaving Hannah humiliated. Professionally, Lachlan worked as a laborer in a local mechanical workshop. Colleagues described him as someone who frequently drank after work, often to the point of losing control. When intoxicated, he would provoke Hannah, and on some occasions even damaged property or threatened violence. Details about Lachlan's family background were limited. However, Hannah's mother reported seeing Lachlan and his father on the road the morning after Hannah went missing, suggesting he lived closely with his parents. On the night of the crime, after burning the truck and returning home, Lachlan went to his parents' house to create an alibi. Psychologically, he displayed many classic traits of an obsessive and jealous partner. He was extremely possessive, always seeking to control every aspect of his girlfriend's life. According to Hannah's friends, Lachlan was jealous and isolated her from social circles. He attended every party she went to, denied her personal space, and even insulted her appearance to undermine her confidence. These were classic signs of psychological abuse. When Hannah decided to break up, Lachlan refused to accept it and escalated to threats and psychological harassment. He called and threatened her at work, forcing her to seek a protective order. These behaviors indicated violent tendencies and oppositional personality traits. Though it was unclear if he had a specific mental illness, it appeared that all of Lachlan's actions stemmed from selfishness, extreme control, and alcohol abuse. The direct motives behind his decision to kill his ex-girlfriend were twofold: love and money. Emotionally, he harbored resentment over being abandoned, viewing Hannah's breakup as an unforgivable betrayal. Financially, he feared losing their shared house in Sebastopol. If they split, Hannah could claim part or even all of the property. These unresolved conflicts erupted into tragedy on the 5th of April, 2024. That afternoon, Hannah and her father went to the bank and a lawyer's office to finalize the financial separation following her breakup with Lachlan. In the evening, she attended a gathering with friends and colleagues at a family pub in Clunes. Before leaving, she said she would drive down to Sebastopol to sort out matters with the house. Around 10 p.m., she drove her orange Mitsubishi Triton pickup to their shared house in Sebastopol. Lachlan Young was waiting there. The meeting quickly escalated into a heated argument over property division. Evidence from the scene and autopsy indicated that Hannah had been forced down in the bathroom, likely causing suffocation, rather than an accidental fall as Lachlan claimed. After the act, he cleaned up the blood, changed clothes, and began staging the scene to mislead investigators. Around 2 a.m., Lachlan Young used Hannah's phone to send a staged farewell message to her mother, deliberately mentioning his own name to create false evidence. He then transferred $5,000 from Hannah's account to his own and sent $2,000 to her parents to make it appear that she had settled her finances before departing. Next, he called Benjamin O'Keefe and persuaded him to come help. Around 3:30 a.m., Lachlan Young put Hannah's body into the vehicle and drove, with Benjamin following behind to the Skydale forest. Lachlan deliberately drove the vehicle into a large tree and set it on fire, incinerating the Triton truck along with Hannah's body inside. Afterward, he returned home. This murder case was fully reconstructed under the light of justice, exposing the perpetrator's cold calculation and deceptive tactics. He was not a sudden, mentally unstable killer, but fully aware of his actions and intent on evading responsibility. This type of criminal is particularly dangerous due to the manipulation and schemes executed after the crime. The trial of Hannah's case drew significant public attention in Australia. Lachlan Young's trial began on the 9th of July, 2025, at the Supreme Court of Victoria in Ballarat. In court, Lachlan denied intentional murder but agreed to plead guilty to manslaughter. However, the prosecution firmly rejected this, arguing that the act was premeditated, with planned tools and steps to conceal the crime. During the trial, images of the burned vehicle with Hannah's body were displayed, bringing many to tears. The victim's parents had to leave the courtroom several times, unable to bear the pain. Meanwhile, Lachlan Young remained cold-faced, occasionally exchanging brief words with his lawyer. When a witness recounted how he had insulted Hannah, Lachlan glared in anger, further aggravating the jury's impression of him. The trial extended to the 8th day, the 17th of July, 2025, when the defendant unexpectedly changed his plea. To everyone's astonishment, his defense lawyer announced that Lachlan Young wanted to plead guilty to Hannah's murder. The courtroom erupted, the victim's family weeping, and some even applauding the moment justice was served. The trial concluded that day. Instead of lasting the anticipated 5 weeks, Judge James Elliott scheduled a 3-day sentencing hearing at the end of October. With the defendant's guilty plea, it was almost certain he would face a severe sentence, potentially life imprisonment. Hannah's case closed with the perpetrator's confession, yet the social impact left Australians shocked and deeply unsettled. This is not only a criminal case, but also a wake-up call about domestic violence and abuse against women. Just a week after Hannah was found, hundreds of local residents marched in a demonstration, holding banners demanding an end to violence against women. Do you think a strict sentence is enough to heal the pain, or should society do more to prevent similar tragedies? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you feel this story deserves to be heard more widely, please support us by leaving a like and sharing it with others. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of the latest, most shocking cases. Now, I'd like to take this moment to say goodbye and invite you to join us again at the same time tomorrow.